I have an interesting relationship with photography. I came to this point last year where I didn't know if I wanted to even make photographs anymore, and I didn't know what I wanted to take photographs of. I went back to sort of, asking myself, why do I love photography, and what about photography makes it so interesting and makes it worth my time? My name is Wendy Li. I'm in the class of 2015, and I'm concentrating in the Woodrow Wilson School with a certificate in visual arts. So while I'm writing a thesis for the Woodrow Wilson School on the role of women in developing economies, specifically in rural China, this thesis is specifically to fulfill the requirement for my visual arts certificate. My senior thesis is about the process of discovering your identity and of creating memories through photographs. I went back to, the first photographs I was ever exposed to, which were my family photographs. And I realized that my love of photography really came from these photographs and everything that they contained. What you see behind me is actually the manifestation of, the process of, discovering who I am and who my family is, especially because we're immigrants and because, most of my family I've never met before. These photographs were really a way to process that information.
As an advisor, where I gave her maybe the most helpful advice was helping her figure out what kind of structure the show should have. There were so many threads that went through the show. You could pick up any one of them and have a really meaningful experience in the exhibition, and maybe not ever really have the same experience that Wendy has with the material, but it wouldn't mean that your experience was any less valuable.
In some ways, I kind of see my work in the Woodrow Wilson School as being completely opposite from my work in the visual arts. And I think the two work very well and are sort of symmetrical. This project, I think, really sort of distills a lot of what we think of as like abstract political ideas. Like we think of economic reform as a very, abstract political economic idea. We think of, migration also as like a very sort of abstract, international concept. What a lot of people don't realize, I think, especially, is that these are very real human things that are happening and they're real human experiences. And so even though I spend so much time in the Wilson School going through data sets, combing through, international relations theory and political philosophy, a lot of it still doesn't really matter until you tie it back to real people. Most people would be able to see these photos and instantly recognize that they're personal photos. A lot of people will look at these photographs and think, oh, these are photos that could be in history textbooks. They're very removed, especially for, I think, the average American student at Princeton. They would look at these and, not be able to relate to them personally at all. But I think when people start moving through the timeline and they realize that the same people are in all of these photographs, and as the photographs become more approachable and more familiar, that they'll realize that these, seemingly alien concepts are actually, real experiences that you can relate to.